I think the thing that makes Glitch unique and the way we've tackled it is the focus on character and history.
There's something about the conceit of Glitch that is free enough, because you can bring people back from different times, where you can have the conversation about national myths and national narratives and the way we read and understand history.
Because, we only know history through the artefacts, and suddenly we have human artefacts emerging, and they can present their own experiences which don't tally up to the recorded history.
You're the fruit of my loins, my own flesh and blood. You're Fitzgerald's.
We're family.
I think Paddy is a kind of a great example because, when you first meet him, you kind of realise that he was one of the founding fathers of the town. And then to start to unravel that story and to see the relationship between a black Australia and a white Australia in a surprising way, but in a way that I think is quite common in Australian country towns, has always felt like one of the tasks of Glitch.
Hey.
To deal with those early forms of PTSD, to deal with the psychological ramifications and the physical ramifications, of course, because Charlie develops TB. They were really big stories around that time for returning soldiers. And again, you don't hear about that very often. And they are, in many ways, some of the founding fathers also of Australian masculinity. And we wanted to explore that through the type of person that Charlie was.
I was murdered.
I think with Kirsty, it's football culture in the 80s, but it's also football culture in Australia, and we didn't want to just tell the story of her victimhood. We wanted to explore how that story came about, how she reacted against the misogyny and the aggression and the violence that she was just living next door to in Urana. It wasn't too difficult to find cases that reflected Kirsty's all over Australia, and there are all these, in many ways, unsolved women's deaths that have occurred in small country towns that become part of the mythology of the town. And I think we really wanted to unpack, specifically from a character perspective, what happened to her and what the repercussions are for a real living person who deals with that.
They've gone mad. They're going to burn down the whole camp.
In this season 3, we talk a bit about the Chinese on the goldfield in Australia and talk about the violence that was perpetrated against them. That's something that is not common knowledge, and certainly nothing that we're taught in our schools.
We have a multicultural history that even just now we're struggling to come to terms with. So looking at that through a show like Glitch really is a way for us to examine who we are as a country.
I think a country and a nation that doesn't know its past can't really plot its future, and has trouble dealing with the challenges of its present as well. I think we all have to know and understand and process our pasts as individuals, but we have to do it as a nation.